Hi there. Later, why a gay Turkish singer could be jailed. First though, to the UK, where national flags are springing up everywhere thanks to far-right bigots, but LGBTQ plus flags are being torn down. Bedwetters who've hijacked the likes of the Union flag and St George Cross have been erecting them all over, supposedly in protest against immigration, and making some ethnic minority and queer people feel unsafe in the process. This as pride flags outside a hair salon in England's East Midlands are removed yet again. Most recently, a masked man's done this by scaling the outside of the building. George Waterfield's one of the co-owners of the Secret Garden in Leicester.
We've had this happen 5 times, but to be honest, we've had this happen twice in the past 3 weeks. And then prior to that, we had it done 4 months before. So I think it's really scary how frequent these are together.
Thanks to the BBC, police are investigating the latest incident as a hate crime. Next, 3 transgender people have been shot dead in Pakistan. The bodies were found by the side of a road in the southern city of Karachi. 2 were hit in the chest, 1 in the head. Amnesty International says the country's seen a concerning rise in anti-trans violence, plus in recent years there's been a highly organised online hate campaign. And the Turkish government's filed a criminal complaint for obscenity against gay singer Mabel Matiz because of his latest single. They're also banning access to the track Per Parisian, saying the lyrics, which hint at his attraction to another man, could harm the institution of the family. Mabel says the meaning's being twisted. He's looking at up to 2 years in prison. And here's one of the lines. The devil says, "Jump on it and make the flock of birds fly." No time to tell you that. About 6,000 people have been on the Brisbane Pride March in Australia, the 35th annual event. And in northern Italy, the first ever Pride event's taken place for the areas of Valtellina and Chiavenna. Hi there. Later, what's caused a grinder meltdown in Arizona? First though, a number of anti-transgender LGBTQ plus organisations are uniting to form one big steaming pile of hate. LGB International's born out of the UK's LGB Alliance, so just for lesbians, gays and bisexuals, and says it's against gender identity ideology and gender-affirming care for children. Queer content creator Donnie Wong, who describes anti-LGBTQ plus activist Charlie Kirk as one of the great minds of our time, is all for this.
To all my folks out there who have renounced the cult that is the LGBTQXYZ alphabet mafia, we have our own international organization. For everyone out there like me who believes that our sexuality shouldn't come along with a mandatory set of ideological beliefs.
Just so there's no confusion though,
most of us don't have anything against trans people.
And your use of the terms cult and mafia really reflects that. LGB International reckons it wants to reclaim the independence of lesbian, gay and bisexual people. A bigot's threatened to shoot people at an LGBTQ plus bar in America in response to the murder of Charlie Kirk. Treven Michael Goki told police in Arizona he wanted to be a martyr for the right-winger, with claims he said transgenderism should be eradicated from public society. The 49-year-old's accused of making a terror threat. Kirk opposed transgender rights and spread disinformation about queer and especially trans people. And to round off our hat trick of Charlie Kirk mentions, it wasn't actually planned, his memorial service might have caused a meltdown on Grindr in Arizona. About 60,000 people attended the event there on Sunday. Down Detector reported mass outages on the app in that area at that time. And a few more of Kirk's anti-queer musings, referred to LGBTQ plus people as the alphabet mafia. Oh, there's that phrase again. Hi, Donnie Wong from earlier. Also said it should be legal to burn a rainbow flag in public. Hi there. Later, China cures gayness with AI. Sort of. First though, seems an anti-transgender right-wing US politician has been following a trans adult performer online. It's claimed Republican Bill Berrien, a self-appointed Mr. Family Values, rather likes the content of Jiz Lee on the essay site Medium, who is swiftly unfollowed. That's despite his long-standing opposition to transgender rights and references to radical social experimentation. Here's a bit of his campaigning to be governor of Wisconsin.
When President Trump dodged that bullet and raised his fist, I knew he is changing history. He's stopping woke indoctrination and protecting our daughters' sports. And take it from a dad and a coach. I will keep boys out of our daughters' sports and locker rooms.
The 56-year-old's criticised the allegations, whilst not actually denying them. He's also stopped following many other Medium accounts, among them the author of Pegging is A-OK and I Love Getting Jackhammered. It claims China's used AI to turn a gay couple straight in a new horror film starring Dave Franco. A scene in Together now features the face of a woman pasted onto one of the male partners. The film's release has been halted following a backlash. Homosexuality is legal in China, but depictions of abnormal sexual relationships are discouraged. Tell you who did engage in abnormal sexual relationships: Jeffrey Epstein. Sorry to bring him up again, Mr. President. And more than $600,000 have been raised so far for a transgender charity through sales of the now iconic Protect the Dolls t-shirt, dolls meaning trans women. The top's white with that slogan in black, and it's been seen on lots of famouses like Pedro Pascal, Tilda Swinton, Troye Sivan and Madonna, who's soon to celebrate her 95th birthday. The t-shirt's been on sale since February to support Trans Lifeline. No time to tell you that. The theme for Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras next February will be Ecstatica, not to be confused with sciatica. Organisers unacquainted with word economy say it's a rallying call to gather, connect and transform individual joy into a powerful collective movement. Hi there. Later, we're off to church for a trans requiem. First though, yet another US right-wingers blaming homosexuality for the murder of anti-LGBTQ activist Charlie Kirk. An article by author Cliff Kincaid is full of hot takes. Firstly, that the suspect Tyler Robinson is gay himself, citation needed. He reckons government, the Catholic Church and society have been captured by the Lavender Mafia, and more conservative Christians will be killed if this isn't dealt with. Only wants the best for homosexuals, though.
Well, of course, we care about these people. We care about them a lot, and we care about them so much that we want them to see them free of disease and return to a normal, healthy lifestyle.
Kincaid's article also rambles incoherently about cultural Marxism, the fall of the Roman and British empires, and defunct Russian intelligence service, the KGB. Two lesbians have been threatened with having their throats slit for kissing each other at a village festival in Italy. They were also punched and kicked at the event in Medina by a group of man-babies aged 50 to 60 and suffered homophobic and sexist insults. The victims actually found the courage to go on stage at the event the next day to call out discrimination. And Grammy Award-winning transgender composer Andrew Yee has premiered their trans requiem at New York City's Trinity Church. Yes, some culture for you. Eat your greens. It aims to reflect the beauty, resilience and diversity of the transgender experience. The requiem's been performed by trans vocalists plus choirs and an orchestra. Andrew hopes it amplifies the humanity of transgender people. No time to tell you that. The UK's LGBTQ Defence Awards have been dished out in London, celebrating inclusivity in the British Armed Forces. And the Polish version of Dancing with the Stars, Strictly Come Dancing in the UK, has two women dancing together for the first time. Hi there. Later, transgender repping at Miss Universe. I can't say repping, I'm too old. First though, after a trans woman's face was stamped on during an attack in America, a crowdfunder to pay for the surgery she's going to need has now exceeded its target. Nicky Armstrong left with a broken nose and eye socket and facial fractures in the assault near a bus station in Washington state. 3 teenage boys and a 25-year-old man are up on hate crime charges. She tells Fox 13 Seattle 4 people chased after her and she tripped.
I made it about a block and then they were on me and it was fists and feet. They were choking me while one of them was stomping on my face at one point.
A GoFundMe's passed its initial $35,000 goal, now aiming for $40,000, and it'll also cover the 39-year-old's living expenses while she's off work. There's a link in our show notes. Transgender women can continue playing Dutch female professional rugby if they pass a risk assessment. Follows a review by the Dutch Rugby Association, which says it wants to combine inclusivity with safety and fairness. This only applies to domestic games because trans women are banned by the sport's world governing body from international competition. And for the first time, Vietnam's being represented by a transgender woman in the Miss Universe competition. Singer, actress and beauty queen Nguyen Huong Nguyen says her inclusion in November's pageant in Thailand's a door to equality and hope. Trans women have been allowed to take part since 2012, when the competition was still owned by the current US president. Now that's ironic, Alanis. No time to tell you that. Italian LGBTQ+ charity Archigay celebrates 40 years with a 3-day festival starting later in Rome. South Africa's Soweto Pride Weekend gets going today, and it's the second transgender and non-binary transgenre festival tomorrow in Sydney. We're also on your smart speaker. Command it to play the latest Pride Daily. I'm Kev McGraw. See you next week.